with James Stevenson and Pat Kelly.
You decided to bring it back?
What's the reprise? I didn't want to just forget about it, right? Who does the Despacito rubber duck ever? By the way, there's all sorts of videos with this same guy. He's a very talented rubber duck operator.
Yeah.
This is not the only song that he does.
A rubber duck operator?
Welcome to Boys Under the Hood. It's Pat Kelly, joined by James Stevenson from Precision Auto Repair in West Springfield. We're talking cars here for the next few minutes, and you're invited to join in. Text, actually, you're going to send your question into Lazer 99.3.com, or just log on to Precision Auto Repair's Facebook page and dump them on there. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
How's your week going so far?
So far, so good. You know, I came off of a very busy weekend that ended with a Patriots game in New England. It was nice to be there. Nice to see people happy on Monday morning. You know, people are like, oh, you hate the Patriots. I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan. I'm a Cowboys fan, obviously, but it's always better around here when the Pats win.
Yeah.
So I was very happy that they won, because Mondays on the radio suck because nobody wants to call when they lose. You know, so I'm rooting for them.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I got noticed over the weekend.
Noticed?
I got noticed from the radio show.
Oh, really?
I was at Home Depot, and some guy comes up to me. He's just kind of next to me, and he says, "You know, you're the guy from the thing." And I said, "Yeah, I am."
That's right.
That was it. That was the whole thing.
That was
You
it?
know, I told him my name was Pat Kelly, and then I stole his wallet.
Oh, did you really?
No, but that's what he said. I thought it was funny. You know, I said, "Yeah, I am."
It's always so nice when that happens.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen a lot. It happens to me maybe twice a year.
Yeah.
The last time was here in town at Stop and Shop. The guy who was cutting my deli meat, he's like, "I know you, Pat Kelly, right?" And I'm like, "Oh my, thank you so much." And I was like all sucking up to him because it never happens. So I wanted to give him a big old hug, but he had like salami all over his hands and stuff. So
Salami's not bad.
you want to get right into it? It's not as good as a banana milk, though, which we'll talk about. Okay, so we have 4 questions today, and 3 of them are just kind of, to me, they're just knucklehead questions.
We get asked a lot of questions. We get a ton through Facebook. We get, I don't know, even more probably through our, through the website. And some of the questions are, I wouldn't say silly, but they would be the questions that maybe a lot of people probably wouldn't ask, right? Some are common sense. So
Right.
I thought it might be funny to maybe ask some of those. Obviously, leave the names out, but maybe we would kind of touch on a couple of those today, because I thought some of them were funny. When I read them, I have a good laugh. So I stole a couple of those and put them in here today.
We'll withhold the names to protect the innocent. Let's start with a serious one. This is from Sam in Chicopee. She says, I want to buy a new car. Well, new to me, but no more than 3 years old. This will be my first nice car. I was hoping you could give me a few tips. I know nothing about any of this. Online can be misleading. I have no one in my life I can ask. I love the show. You guys are hilarious. Thanks, Sam. Go Cowboys, she writes. Next year is our year, Pat. Yeah, I doubt it, but I appreciate the sentiment.
And it says #Romo for president.
He's not a bad color commentator.
Yeah, he made it to the playoffs this year.
You're
Finally.
such a jerk. See, I can write these jokes for you if you want me to. I did have someone say, "Oh, you know, finally Tony Romo's going to the Super Bowl." He does have to be a little sick over it, though. But
So actually, he did a good job.
yeah, he did. Yeah,
Yeah, he did a
I
good job.
think he's doing great, man. Surprisingly.
Sam, the first thing that you want to do, obviously, when purchasing a vehicle, is figure out what you want. So you can obviously figure out, if you want an SUV, if you need 4-wheel drive, if you're more of a car person, kind of get that idea down, and then figure out roughly what your budget is and options that you want and all that stuff.
Now, would you say that for this part of the country, if you only have one vehicle, probably smart to have an all-wheel drive or a 4-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive is pretty good. I mean, if you think about how many days you actually need all-wheel or 4-wheel drive, it's, 5-6 days a year or something like that. So, maybe don't make a purchase based on just all-wheel or 4-wheel, but it's definitely a good thing to have. It's what's going to suit your needs. A lot of, years ago, people would say, "Oh, well, you don't want 4-wheel drive because they're not as fuel efficient," but that's not true. So just find what you want. kids, you got to load it up with a bunch of stuff. Station wagons aren't all that cool anymore. I don't even know if they make station wagons. Maybe, probably.
Well,
I should actually know the answer to that.
I think they make them similar. They just call them station wagons anymore because they want to be cool about it. Like,
crossovers. They call them crossovers and raise them up a little.
That's not a station wagon. It's a crossover. No, that's got a hatchback.
Yeah. Figure out what you want, and there's a good website that a lot of people seem to use. It's Car Gurus. It's a national company, but just you can input all your criteria in there. Whether you're looking for a new car, a used car, whatever you're looking for. I mean, even if you want to buy a Lamborghini, you can still search it on this thing, and most dealers seem to use it. And then set up your distance that you want to travel, set up how much money you want to spend, the type of car. You can compare, different cars right on there. You could set up all the options that you need if you are buying an SUV and you need third row, or you want a special type of radio or whatever, any of the options that you want, all the little stuff. Right?
It's important to know the amount of money that you want to spend. I know
exactly.
Some people will say, okay, what do you want for a monthly payment? No. Now you want to find out, you want to have a budget and then figure out what the monthly payment is off that.
The worst thing that you can do is go into a dealership and they say, well, how much are you looking to spend? And you're like, $300 a month, and you get you a 10-year loan
right
at $300. You know what I mean? It just I don't know if you can get a 10-year loan. It's obviously an exaggeration, but don't go in there and say, yeah, I'm looking to pay this much. But that's silly.
I fell into that when I was much younger, and at the time, it was a Chevy. It was one of the NASCAR cars, and so the guy got out of my car, and the guy put me into the new car, and he's like, look, I got you the same payment that you had, and I'm like, yeah, but dude, it's a 5-year term. I was in a 4-year term. And he's like, what's, and he said to me with a straight face, what's the difference?
Yeah.
I'm like, the difference is $300 times 12 months. What do I have stupid enough written across my forehead right now?
Yeah. $3,600 more dollars.
Right.
Awesome.
So no
great deal.
Know what you want to spend for a total before you go.
Yeah. Know what you want to spend, and the other thing that's really good is if you go to that website and you can help kind of shop around instead of driving around from dealership to dealership to dealership. You can kind of find this, and then if the vehicle exists, if you're looking for a Porsche Cayenne and you want to spend 10 grand, like it's probably not going to exist.
Right.
So just make be realistic with what you want. If you're trading in a vehicle, get a good idea of what you want in trade for your vehicle. You can maybe go to Kelley Blue Book, and you can go to NADA. The problem is with the two of those, they're going to be two totally different prices. So you want to kind of find a happy medium. And then that Car Gurus also can tell you kind of roughly what your trade is going to be worth. And then the last thing that you want to do before you go shopping for a car is make sure that you secure a loan before you go into the dealership. I'm sure there's a lot of great banks out there, but the credit unions right now are very aggressive. So whether it's a municipal credit union or just a local town credit union or whatever you would want to go to, I think that you could find some pretty good rates there. But shop around for that stuff. Just make sure you do your homework, and make sure that you have your loan before you step foot into a dealership.
There's also something to think about, and this seems kind of trivial. There's a crazy, out of her mind woman who lives across the street from us, and she lives on a driveway that goes down. It's a very steep driveway that goes down to her house.
Yeah.
So that nutcase, when it snows, parks her car that obviously does not have four-wheel drive on the road. So now I'm looking out my window and I'm seeing her car as part of the scenery. I've thought about putting a little sign on her car. Listen, nutty, put your car in your driveway. But that's just something to think about. As trivial as it might sound, if you've got a steep driveway, you're going to need four-wheel drive if you want to get out of it in the wintertime.
Yeah, exactly, and that's obviously going to have to help you in your initial step, figuring out what you need. If that's your if that's your case, there you've got a very, very steep driveway, or it's a very long driveway. Maybe you want to buy a truck, or maybe you want a small plow or something like that. Whatever that would be. But the last thing. I think I said the last thing was get finance first, but the real last thing you want to do is after you decide on a car, get it checked out. Dealerships are great, a lot of shops are great. People don't really intentionally, I'm sure maybe somebody does, but for the most part, people don't intentionally try to deceive you, but sometimes things get overlooked. So just get an independent pair of eyes to take a look at whatever vehicle that you're thinking about purchasing. Because sometimes, again, it doesn't mean that anybody did it intentionally, but just sometimes things get overlooked. And you just don't want that to be overlooked, and then you get stuck holding the bag for that. So just make sure that somebody other than the dealership that you're purchasing the car from actually takes a look at it. And you could bring it to your regular mechanic, or even another dealership. If you're buying a Honda from one place, bring it to another Honda dealership or an independent, and they'll be able to take a look at that for you.
You're listening to Boys Under the Hood. I'm joined by James Stevenson of Precision Auto Repair in West Springfield. This is a segment we do every week on Tuesday right around this time to help you out with your car questions. James has been in business for a long time. He's got a very tight staff over there and knows what he's talking about. So it's a pleasure to have him on. You can submit your questions on the Precision Auto Repair Facebook page or by logging on to Lazer99.3.com. Let's get to the knucklehead questions. Now, are we also protecting the town that they're from?
Yeah, don't even. Yeah, just the car, and then.
Okay, this guy starts out his question. He sounds like Frank Rizzo. Electrical problem. It's not even a sentence. Okay, so it says electrical problem. It's obviously all related. The windows don't work and haven't for a long time. Then the power seat stopped working. The dash blinks to where it turns on and off when I hit bumps. Now it won't start. I did start it once, but shut it off. My mechanic, spelled Macanik, says it's easy to do, but he can't fix it because he doesn't have the right computer anymore. Says it's a bad speed sensor, and I just gotta get one and he'll put it in. All right, this guy's all over the place.
It gets better. You stopped. You stopped at the best part.
Okay. Well, I'll ask the question, and then you can give us the answer. Does anything cause the issue to happen more frequently? The seat don't work, and the windows don't work, but bumps make the lights come on and off, and all the gauges stop working, but just over bumps.
This is my favorite line right here.
Then I know it won't start when I try to start it. I don't try to start it then. I don't know it won't start.
Yeah, if I don't try to start it, then I don't know it won't start.
Of course you won't know. You'll never know if it's going to start if you don't try to start it.
I don't have an answer for this. That's hilarious.
He's got so many problems when you've got every gauge in the thing going wacky. What do you do?
It sounds like he's got a lot more than one issue with the vehicle.
Yeah,
it sounds like he's definitely
outside of his vehicle.
It sounds like
I don't want to start it, but I don't know if it won't start if I don't try to.
Yeah, you don't know if it. Yeah, that's the best line of all.
Just common sense.
If I don't try to start it, then I don't know it won't start. It's been happening for a few months. Look, it looks like this issue's been happening for obviously quite some time. It looks like you've got multiple issues. It's probably not. Like all these random things that you have going on are probably not related, and I can assure you that your seat is not malfunctioning because your speed sensor that your mechanic told you need is bad. Now, your speed sensor may be bad, but I assure you that it's not causing your seat to your power seat not to work.
Yeah, my power windows won't go up. It's obviously the speed sensor. My buddy says if I get one, he'll drop it in, but he's got the wrong computer.
Bryce, one of the things that I can tell you is that one of the red flags for me would be if I had a contractor come to the house and I wanted new windows put in, and he says, "Yep, no problem, James. Just go out and you buy the windows, and then you buy the nails, and you buy all the supplies that we're going to need, and then I'll come over and do them." Like, if you want to use a professional for something, again, I say it every single week. There are so many good shops out there in the area. There just really are. We're blessed in this area in terms of repair shops and good dealerships and all that stuff, right? So what you want to do is you want to find a shop that's professional, and you want to make sure that they can control the process from beginning to end, because if they can do that, they can control the outcome. Now, if you buy the sensor and something goes wrong, he says, "Well, you bought the sensor and
Right.
I didn't do it," and now you're kind of left holding the bag. We've got a customer. He came in, new customer. He came in last week. There was a shop just down the street from us, and the guy disappeared, closed. I have no idea what happened with him. The shop was in business one day, it's not. Whatever the issue was, I'm not going to speculate. This customer came in and he says, "Look," he goes, "2 months ago I had this guy replace such and such part for me, and he made me pay in cash, and he wouldn't give me a receipt." And he said, the kid was smart enough to say, "What do I get for a warranty?" And the guy looked him dead in the face. He says, "I'm your warranty." If somebody tells you I'm your warranty, like, this isn't, no, get it in writing, right? An invoice or a repair order, it's a legal document. It protects you, the consumer, and it also, on the other hand, it protects the shop, right? Because the shop makes sure that they told you about any issues or anything like that. But you as a consumer, like, you need that warranty in writing so that you don't waste your money, right? Because sometimes, a shop, even shop that says that I'm your warranty, right? I'm sure, most cases they go into it with good intentions, and they could put the best parts in there and have the best technicians putting the parts in. But sometimes even good parts fail. It just happens. The things are made in a factory, and they just sometimes fail. That's why there are repair shops that exist, because parts fail in general. So just knowing that, even if somebody uses the best parts, just don't accept, like, I'm your warranty, and don't let them tell you, well, you bring all the supplies, and you bring this, and you bring that, and just bring it to a shop that can control it from beginning to end, and then that way they control the outcome. And you, as the consumer, should something go wrong, you can at that point just say, hey, look, I paid you to fix this, and it's not fixed, and you need to take care of it. And then it's that simple,
And I will add this too: unless you're doing a drug deal, if someone if someone says to you, you've got to pay in cash and I'm not giving you a receipt, you need to question that.
Yeah, that's,
You're listening to Boys Under the Hood. We're here at James Stevenson from Precision Auto Repair. We'll be back with two more knucklehead questions after this.
And now, Boys Under the Hood with James Stevenson and Pat Kelly.
What's going on, James? I sort of picture you and me under like a moonlit sky in the beginning of this. Just
I'm okay with it if you are.
Welcome back to Boys Under the Hood. This is our weekly segment where we talk about cars. James Stevenson from Precision Auto Repair. The pro here, me, not so much. We're taking your questions at Lazer 99.3.com and also on the Precision Auto Repair Facebook page. Very simple. Let's jump into our next question. Now, we get a ton of serious questions, and we answer them. And today we felt like maybe just touching on a couple of the sillier questions that we get asked. Okay, this one comes from none of your business. He writes, I have an ID. Now, what is that? That's the blower in the car?
An IID is an ignition interlock device.
Okay.
They're typically court mandated for somebody that may have gotten an OUI or DWI or whatever that charge would be.
Okay, he has an IID. How do I disable it? That's the point. All right, but in his defense, he says, I don't drink all the time, but sometimes I do, and I don't want to deal with it beeping. and do you know if smoking pot will affect it? I have a medical card, so I should be fine. The court system loves it if you have one of those in your car and then you mess with it. They like it when you start taking it apart and disabling it.
He's got a medical card.
He's got a medical card, so he should be able to disable his IID. James, what would you say? Now, you must deal with IIDs occasionally in your shop, don't you?
We don't service them. We don't repair them. I know there's a few places around. Long Radio in West Springfield does all that.
But what if someone comes in, they need work, and they have one installed in their car?
We see that somewhat frequently, probably a few times a week. Now, some of them allow you to call the company, and you have to document when the vehicle is in our care and control.
Right.
You call the company and you say, hey, look, it's 8:28 a.m. on Tuesday the 23rd. You know what I mean? And we release the vehicle back to the customer at exact time, and so on. And then you enter the code again and you reactivate the machine. Other companies will actually tell you to unwire the thing, so completely disconnect it from the system, and then again document, hey, this is when we had it and this is when we released it. And then others, no, none of it. Like, the customer has to be there, the customer has to blow into it. You can't have your employees blow into, and we don't allow our staff to blow into those things.
Why would you want to put your mouth on that when someone else is putting their mouth on it all day?
Well, the customer will leave you different mouthpieces and stuff, but we don't get involved with that. Like, if we can't get a code, or we can't, we're not legally allowed to disable it. If they don't tell us to do that, then we don't mess with it. The customer will have to stay there and be there through the entire repair process from beginning to end if it takes a couple hours or a day.
So if the car's running and the thing goes off, you'll have to call the customer and have them blow, and then
the customer has to actually be there for the entire repair process, because these will require you to blow into them when they first start. So when you first turn the key on the thing, it essentially warms up, and then you have to blow into it with a sequence of, some are like multiple blows, some are like sucking and blowing, some you have to hum and blow into it. Don't even start, Pat. No, Pat, don't say it. We're on topic today. We're doing really good.
I know.
Don't say it. Don't say.
How can you just serve that up on a platter to
I
me
just
like that
did.
and tell me
I
not
did.
to say
I
it?
did. But some you have to hum into them and whatever the sequence would be. So you really got to have the customer there. Their neck is on the line, so to speak, for that thing. You're still.
It's almost. I'm just gonna say this. When you talked about the one where you got to blow and hum, it's almost like they've made this thing to resemble something
Right.
else.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is too, they want to make sure that a human is blowing into it, so it detects temperature. It's gonna. Oh boy.
It's moisture, everything, right?
We're going down.
Temperature,
We're
moisture.
going down a dangerous
Right?
road.
I'm not. You are. No.
Next question.
Okay. Bottom line is, you don't want to mess with it.
You don't want to mess with it, and there's potentially jail time in it for the customer, or
Right.
they extend the period of time that the customer would have the thing. It just there's a real problem there if something goes wrong. So unless the thing from the shop standpoint, unless it can be disabled with a code, disconnected, then then the customer has to be there with it. And no, I'm not going to tell you how to disable the thing. Buddy. Sorry about your bad situation, but we can't. That's highly illegal.
I ran into a real boob about, I'm trying to think of how long I've been here. Had to be 6 or 7 years ago, and he had one of those blowers in his car, and he took it out. And what he said to me was, "Man, I got to get to work, man. I can't. I'm drinking the night before, so it's detecting it the next morning. Then I got alcohol in my breath. I got to get to work, so I got to pull that thing out." And I just told him, man, that's a short term.
I think you go right to
answer.
jail.
Yeah, they would not be happy if you screw that. I don't know what the penalties are, but
Well, when they're
the point of it is that it's a penalty, so you have to use it.
well, you have to report to a vendor once a month, right? So they go there and they download information. So there's like a base, a body, a main computer for this thing, and then there's a cord coming off it to the little blower piece, right? So they download the information. That thing sees if the battery was disconnected, if it lost power. It knows when it starts because the car switches from 12 volts to 14 volts. And that's how it knows it's actually running, and it knows the key's on because it sees battery. Like, they're kind of smart. And then what they're going to start doing is they're going to put a little sensor in there so that it knows that the car is moving or not moving. And, so there's a lot of different little things that, you have to consider in there. Like, just don't tamper with it. Just, it probably stinks to have one of those things in your car. Just deal with it, because otherwise they're going to extend it. They'll throw you in jail. I think it's immediate jail, and I obviously not an attorney, but I think you immediately go to jail if you get caught taking one of those things out. And the other thing I know too is that there's an auditor or multiple auditors in the state, and they'll call you up and they'll say, "Pat, I know you got one of these in your car. You have to make yourself available in 20 minutes time or an hour or something like that," and they just go and check the things. You don't hear about that a lot, but you hear about it every once in a while. And I don't know what puts them onto your trailer. If it's maybe you've got a history of bad downloads when you go for your monthly report. I don't know. Those are all questions for somebody else. But I know, just don't tamper with the thing. Keep it in there. Maybe just don't drink and drive. Then how much booze do you have to have at night to blow hot next morning after 8 hours of sleep?
I was just going to say, there's a concept. Just don't drink and try to start the car.
Yeah.
That's the solution. I mean, that's why they put it in your car to stop you.
I don't feel like smoking pot is the solution to
Yeah.
not. Like, medical card or no medical
I
card.
got this blower in my car, man. I can smoke dope and drive, though.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
You're listening to Boys Under the Hood. We're joined by James Stevenson of Precision Auto Parts. Why do I always say that? Precision Auto Repair. I'll get it right, James. It's not like we've been working for months here. What a moron. Facebook.com, you can find Precision Auto Repair's Facebook page, or log on to Lazer993.com and put your question there. Before we talk about the last question, I know last week we talked about the apprentice program at Precision Auto Repair. How's things going? Are you getting submissions for it?
We've got we got a huge response. Yeah, we got a huge response. We only started that up last Monday, and I mean, we're at like a few thousand people that have looked at that page, and
Nice.
we've got a couple hundred applicants. One thing that I'll tell you if you're considering applying is, make sure you fill out the application properly. I know it may, I'm probably really mean for saying that, but if it asks for a resume, don't upload a picture of your cat. I'm not kidding.
Did someone upload a picture of their cat? So out of the running.
It was a really good looking cat. I can tell. It was a really nice looking
Maybe
cat.
the cat's name was Resume, so when you said upload your resume, they're like, okay, here it is, right here.
Fill out the application yourself, right? Your mom or your uncle can't fill it out for you. Fill out your own application, and and make sure that you upload a resume and not a picture of your cat. Even though it's a very nice looking cat, I'm sure, or pets, don't put your dog, your iguana, any of that other stuff, whatever you have, make sure that you upload an actual resume.
Now you know since you said that.
Oh,
You're
my goodness.
gonna get tons of pet pictures.
One of my buddies, I mess with my friends all the time, constantly. It's just the friendships that we have.
Right.
And one of them the other day, he uploads. He said he was Ricky Bobby from that movie Talladega Nights.
Right.
And I put it on my Facebook. So he filled out the whole application as if he was Ricky Bobby. He's like, I want to fix cars because I want to go fast. And all
Right.
this other stuff. It was pretty hilarious. But I mean, we've had a really good response. We've had a lot of really, really good applicants. We've had a couple. I mean, we didn't get a lot of bad ones, but just in case you're wondering, one, you have to make sure that you submit it to, because we've had a couple people call and say, hey, look, I applied, but they didn't actually apply. They forgot to hit submit. All these little things, like if you can't, honestly, and this may sound harsh, but if you can't fill out the application properly, how are you going to follow instructions to fix a car properly?
Fair enough.
And that may sound very, very harsh, but we're going to invest a lot of time and a lot of energy, a lot of training, and the bottom line is time is money. So we're going to invest all of that into you. If you cannot fill out the application properly and you cannot follow very simple instructions, it's going to be very difficult to want to consider you for that position. So, we want, obviously, we want to hire the best people, and the best people will fill out the application properly. Plus, a lot of other things. So if you're really considering it, we'd love to sit down and talk with you. We really would. We want to meet as many people as we can, and really have a big field to choose from. And we really do right now. But obviously, we want to make that a little bit bigger. But we will not interview you. You don't have to call the shop or anything. If you upload a picture of your cat, we're not going to interview you. You've
Right.
got to fill out the resume, or not the resume. You got to fill out the application properly. But it's a great program. We've had a real big response, a very, very positive response from it. So I can't wait until we hire, probably another week or two.
Can we talk? Are we gonna bring the person in? Let's put them right on the hot seat when you hire them. Let's bring them right in the morning.
The one that uploaded a picture of their cat?
Yeah.
You want to call them and interview them on the radio?
No, call them. Tell them that they're hired, and then
I can't do that.
No, wait. It's just a small lie. Tell them they're hired.
Okay.
And then we'll bring them in here and we'll talk to them on the radio.
Okay.
And they'll think that they're there to talk about their new job.
Yeah.
And then that's where we'll talk about how dumb they are. For
Hire
uploading
him
the
as
cat.
the replacement for the show here.
You're listening to Boys Under the Hood. It's probably more qualified than I am. Facebook.com on the Precision Auto Repair Facebook page. You can submit your questions there, or Lazer993.com. Do we have time for another one?
We have one more.
Okay. And these again are kind of not silly questions, but just maybe.
These are some of the sillier
Okay.
questions.
It says, the brake pedal in my car keeps going to the floor, and I found that one of the brake lines are leaking. The thing is just rusted. My dad's a mechanic for years, so I know what I'm doing. I put the line in and filled the brake fluid thing, and the pedal still goes to the floor. You think it's possible that I got the wrong Sykes line? The Sykes?
He's trying to say size with S-I-X-E.
Oh, okay.
Instead of
Possible
Z.
that you got the wrong size line?
Yeah.
Look, this guy, his dad's a mechanic, so he knows what he's doing. He changed the brake thing, James, so he knows what he's doing.
So when I was a kid, and even now as an adult, my dad drives a truck. He's a truck driver, and I can tell you right now, if you want me, if you said you were going to take my life from me, right? If you said, look, back up a boat trailer down a wide open boat ramp and do it in a straight line without having to reset multiple times or smashing into anything, there's no way I would do it.
Right.
There's no way. I can't back up a trailer to save my life. It's true. And my dad drives a truck forever, since before I was born, So I don't know if that gives you any insight. Now, you get a lot of people that'll come in and they'll say, well, I know what's wrong with the car, or I did this or I did that because I saw it on YouTube. Great. That's awesome. I can tell you where you went wrong with this one. So the first thing that you did was
Being born.
no, oh my goodness. All right, well, that's the end of the show today. All right,
I'm sorry, that just blurted out. That came out of nowhere. I did not mean that.
The brake fluid system is a sealed system, and it relies on fluid to basically, for lack of better words, create the pressure, right? Not create, but just the system has to be secure and safe. No leaks, right? Because as the fluid pushes through the system, the fluid is the pressure, right? So as you step on the pedal, the master cylinder, whatever. So anyways, you can't have any leaks, okay? And if you have leaks, obviously the first step you want to take is to plug up those leaks. So I don't know. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now you're trying to be.
That's okay.
It's okay. So
I'll try to figure out what I was saying.
You want to plug. Yeah, so when there's leaks, you want to plug up the leaks.
You want to.
Okay. No, James, this is not going to end this way.
Lenny, I'm waiting for Lenny to come through the door.
He's going to come in.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
All right, so you got to plug up the leaks, right? And that's great if you did that. I don't know if you used the wrong size line or not. I can't see that, but it's great that you plugged up the leaks, and as long as you have no leaks, so that's step one. Step two is doing something called bleeding the brakes. If you have air in the system's not going to build the right amount of pressure, so you have to think of the system as being 100% full of fluid, okay?
Right.
And if you have a leak, there's going to be fluid, sometimes before, but always after that leak. So after meaning going towards the component, like in this case, the brake calipers or wheel cylinders, or whatever type of car you would have, right? So you've got to make sure that you flush out all those lines, bleed those lines of all that air. Just by simply filling what's called the master cylinder or the reservoir that he's saying, you're filling up the reservoir, but there's still air further down in the system. So there's these little things called bleeders on the brake calipers, and you want to make sure that you go through a proper bleeding sequence and do that. We're getting a little technical, but the reality is, like, you've got air in the system, and by putting more fluid on top of the air, it is not going to solve anything. You're just going to continue to waste more time and dump more fluid on top of that. So, in this case, brakes are a real safety issue, right? If the brakes don't work, you're in big trouble.
Right.
Bring it to somebody that knows what they're doing. It's not going to cost you a ton of money to have somebody properly bleed and maybe flush this brake system out. If you've got air in there, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, but sometimes that fluid, I don't know how long you've been working on it, it's been damp outside, that fluid will absorb moisture, so you may have contaminated fluid now or whatever, but just bring it to a shop, have somebody that knows what they're doing, take a look at that stuff. If you want to replace windshield wipers or something like that on your own, that's great, I commend you for that, but stuff that's safety that you can endanger yourself and somebody else on the road, just have a professional take a look at that for you. I appreciate that your dad was a mechanic. I'm sure that you have a lot of mechanical knowledge. In this case, unfortunately, this one just might be out of your scope.
You are way kinder than I am. I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there. He's like, the guy's like, I don't know, I threw the paper over there, but he's like, yeah, my dad's a mechanic. I tried to fix the thing. I got the thing. I filled the thing, and it's not working. And you're like, I'm sure that you're mechanically inclined, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, James, for being so nice.
You want to try to look on the positive side of things, right? If you always have a negative outlook, then you'll be negative about everything. So I think that a negative opinion is obviously the easiest one to have because you don't have to take a stance on anything, right? You don't like it, you don't like it.
Right.
So I just always try to be as positive as possible. But I think my favorite question today was the guy says, if I don't try to start it, then I don't know it won't start.
We have to give him the $25 gift
awesome.
card. That is
that is probably the best question I've ever been asked.
If I don't try to start it,
yeah,
I won't know that it doesn't start. Look, there's the solution. He's found the solution.
Yeah, just don't try to start it. You'll be good. No big deal. You're all set.
You get the IID from the other guy and put it in the car that won't start. You don't have to even bother blowing into it. You can smoke all the pot you want in the car that won't start.
I wonder if the guy that's cars won't start. I wonder if he has an IID he doesn't know about. There you go, right?
We'll be back next week right around this time with Boys Under the Hood. James, it's always good hanging out with you, man. I know that you do good work over there at Precision Auto Repair.
Thank you.
I hear about it a lot, and that's true. If you do have a car-related question, James would be happy to tackle it. Submit your question at lazer993.com or on the Precision Auto Repair Facebook page. Look forward to hanging out with you next week, man.
Thanks, Pat.